Welcome everyone, it's Glacier Gabrock, the Glacier as always. Hope you guys are having a great day. We're doing a little bit different this week. We got Jhoira of the Ghitu, and this is a Is It Chaos style deck. Bringing all the chaos shenanigans around. There's only going to be one gameplay video. It's going to be a multiplayer match, and I hope you guys enjoy it. It was a pretty spicy match. Let's get into the deck text. We got Jhoira of the Ghitu, Human Wizard, 2/2 for 3. Legendary creature, pay 2, exile non-land card from your hand. Put 4 time counters in the exile card. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend. So this is pretty good, especially when you're dealing with Possibility Storm and other kind of shenanigans where it matters from like playing from your hand, because this plays from the suspend zone, which is a special zone. But let's get into the 99. So as far as lands are concerned, we just have 36 Is It lands. More mountains than islands. I did get these really nice 9th edition John Avon lands and these nice 9th edition islands from Tony. I can't say the name. Really hard to pronounce that name. But yeah, we got Relic Ward Tower is pretty good in this kind of deck. I really do like that Relic Ward Tower. It's pretty. It looks like it's falling, but I can't tell if it looks like that or if it's just always like that. I don't know. But there's a new Relic Ward. Is it the same art that's coming out? I don't know. I know our Relic Ward Tower is coming out in Core Set 2019, which should be out by the time this video airs. Or coming out by the time this video airs. But yeah. Well, hope I get Relic Ward Tower there. Let's get into the actual 99. So we have Wheel of Fate. The whole kind of idea is just to do crazy, shenanigan, chaosy things. So we've got Wheel of Fate, which is basically, was it like Wheel of Time? Or I forget what it was. I forget what the original card was. But suspend 4. Each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards. I really like playing it early. Mana Crypts. Brand is really good. Gain control of all permanents you own. So when you do like a Scramble Burst or a Thieves Auction, you play Brand right after you play one of those cards, and you get all your stuff back plus whatever stuff that you took from them. So it's pretty sweet. Gamble, it's just a little bit more chaos stuff. You can really hurt yourself on Gamble, or you can not hurt yourself on Gamble. It's pretty nice. Venom Blast for those pesky artifacts. Soul Ring for Soul Ring. Cyclonic Crypt and Counterspell because it's a blue deck, or because it has blue. Humble Defector because it's always interesting to be a little bit more chaosy. Reverberate. Now, Reverberate, anytime I have had, you'll especially see in the game if you watch this before or after the game, there are many points in which I could have used Reverberate, but I didn't have 2 red mana open, which was really sad. I could have reverberated. I'm not going to spoil it, but I could have done it, and didn't have the mana, so it kind of was a little bit waste. But Reverberate is a good card for just basically either forking your own spells, or when your opponents are doing something, you get a little bit of spiciness off there. Like if they're destroying a creature, you could just destroy another creature. So that's pretty useful. Stigma Lasher because Stigma Lasher is terrifying. Most people don't like Stigma Lasher. And if you get it in there early on turn 2 or whatever, you could just, bam, clock them, get them, and they can't gain life. That's pretty nice. Tybalt, I have actually never played this card. It's never come up, but it's a 2-drop Legendary Planeswalker with, which is, I don't know, it's pretty spicy if you can get to its ultimate. Howling Mine. Everyone loves Howling Mine. More cards. We got Is It Signet in there for some mana. This dragon looks just so pumped because he's got a ruby in his chest. Thematic Campus was basically Maze of Ith on steroids. Thought Vessel. I like Thought Vessel. Propaganda. I just don't want people to attack me. Risk Study. I want more cards. Chaos Warp. I don't want you to have what you have. I want you to have something else. But it could be bad. Fire Gambits. Oh man, I got to use Fire Gambits in a different game that I was practicing. I was just playing. I actually did get to win 3 flips and draw 9 cards and untap all my lands. It was so spicy when I did Fire Gambit. I love Fire Gambit. It's awesome. Mana Flare is great because even if your opponents take Mana Flare, it still works for everybody. So that's why I like having Mana Flare. And like, I don't know what that is, but it looks creepy. Planar Chaos, this art is so nuts. Like, I don't remember what those people were called. This was in Judgment, and I do remember seeing, I don't remember if I saw this card in real life, but I can't remember what the storyline between those people was. or what even that creature is. But it's, ah man, this is so crazy. So when at the beginning of your upkeep, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, sacrifice a point of chaos. So it stays around as long as you keep winning flips. Whenever a player casts a spell, that player flips a coin. If they lose the flip, counter the spell, which is pretty nice. Game of Chaos. Game of Chaos is awesome because you can just keep playing for life until you lose, and then you might die, which is pretty interesting. Puka's Mischief. Haven't gotten to play it, but it allows me the opportunity to exchange my my not so desirable permanents with my opponent's desirable permanents. Whelming Wave. I just don't want anybody to have anything cool. Disruptive Decorum. I like when people attack other people. This is really good in 4-player. I was hoping to pull this during 4-player, but it basically didn't work. Well, I didn't draw it, so. Pulse Maneuvers. This is cool. If you're attacking somebody, you want to win the flip. If you're not attacking somebody, you don't want to win the flip. If someone's attacking you, you want to lose the flip, because if you lose the flip, then they won't deal damage. If you win the flip, even if they're attacking you and you win the flip, it deals double damage, which is not fun. But it's chaosy. Wild Ricochet. It's just another one of the those kind of fork spells. Choose new target for instance sorcery. Oh no, this is different. So instead, the Reverberate is just choosing a different target. This one is you choose completely new targets, and then you copy that spell, and then choose new targets for that spell. So Wild Ricochet is a lot more different. So we got Rawl Zarek, or however you say that dude's name. Does some tap-on-tap shenanigans, and you can flip coins to make extra turns if you can get him up to -7. Boom Pile for just destroying 9 land permanents. Pretty sweet. I love Boom Pile. Tap, flip a coin. It's pretty nice. Solemn Sacrament because it's a sad robot. Teferi's Puzzle Box because it just throws everyone's plans out of the window. I love Teferi's Puzzle Box. Perplexing Chimera. When an opponent casts a spell, you may exchange it, the control, so you can choose, oh, no, I don't want to, I want to keep this 3/3, or no, I want to exchange it. Shared Fate is really spicy, unfortunately. I don't, it's not going to be in the game, you see, but Shared Fate is pretty nuts. Instead of drawing cards, you exile your opponent's cards, and you play, basically you're playing your opponent's deck. So if you're playing a multiplayer game, you kind of want to pick an opponent, and you're going to use their deck. Or depending on how the land situation is set up, you want to try to pick an opponent's deck that shares the same mana base you have. Because if you pick an opponent, let's say this is it, and you're playing against an opponent that's not using blue or red at all, you can't play any of the cards that you flip. So you want to make sure that you're flipping the cards off their deck that you can play. So just be aware. Confusion in the ranks. So whenever an artifact, creature, enchantment, enter battlefield, controller chooses target permanent, another player controls that shares a card with it, and you exchange control. There's probably a better way to use this card, but I basically just steal my opponent's good stuff. Illicit Auction. I got to use Illicit Auction. I don't like the art, but I got to use this. Oh, it's so spicy when it gets used. I basically just convinced a player. I targeted something I wanted to take, and it got redirected to something somebody else wanted to take, and they put, you'll see it. It's just really good. But Illicit Auction, pretty nice card. Possibility Storm. Possibility Storm's really spicy. That's why I use Jhoira, so I don't have to deal with Possibility Storm shenanigans as much as possible unless I want to. Because there's not a lot of creatures in this deck, and so if I Possibility Storm into a creature, if I play a creature, I'm more likely going to get a creature I want. Then we got Radiate. It's just this is really good in 4-player. I didn't get to use it though, but it's really good for just redirecting targets and getting additional targets. Reforge the Soul basically allows you to get more cards. Time Sifter. Time Sifter's pretty sweet. You can make extra turns. It's very spicy. Conjure Currency. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exchange control of Conjure Currency and target permanent you neither own nor control. So it's a may, so if there's nothing really good you want, you don't have to. Hive Mind, whenever a player casts an instance of sorcery, each other player copies that spell. Each of those players may choose new copies for the target. Yeah. And it says, all consciousness is one, separated only by a thin veil of the physical. Jace Borrelia. Consecrated Sphinx for card draw. Sunbird Certification for just being Sunbirdie. Whims of Fate, starting with you. Each player separates all the permanents into 3 piles. Then each player... I haven't got to use these yet. It's pretty cool. It sounds pretty cool, though. Wild Invocation at the beginning of each player's upkeep, the player reveals a card at random from their hand. If it's a land card, that player puts it on the battlefield. Otherwise, the player casts it without playing the card. So it's pretty sweet. Caprice de Frites, I got to play it, but it didn't do anything before I died. So we got a Tali Probable Storm. I love a Tali Probable Storm. Pretty sweet. Grip of Chaos is nice whenever a spell or ability is put into the stack. If it has a single target, reselect the target at random, but it has to be a legal target. Tides of War, basically, when one or more creatures is blocked, flip a coin. If you win the flip, and by winning the flip, let's say you're like, all right, heads, and you get heads, then each blocking creature is sacrificed to its controller, but that might actually kill all your stuff too. So just be aware that Tides of War, not that great. I mean, it's good, but it might not help you. That's what I'm saying. Risky Move, this is all about flipping, changing exchange of creatures. And the creatures down in the pit, I don't know what those are, but they look pretty beastly. Look like they're fighting each other. Knowledge Pool is pretty sweet. Instead of playing the card you play one of your exiled cards, but then the card you wanted to play now becomes an exiled card that you can later cast on a different turn. Own Machine basically allows you to play cards without paying their mana, which is nice. Eye of the Storm basically puts all your cards in exile and then allows you to play all of them, all your, instants or sorceries. Mind Installations enchant whenever an opponent casts their first spell each turn, that player exiles the top card of the library. If it's an online card, you may play it. It's pretty sweet. Thieves Auction. Exile all non-token permanents, starting with you. Each player chooses one of the exiled cards put on the battlefield tapped under their control. Repeat this process until all cards exiled this way have been chosen. Thieves Auction is so spicy. It gets really ridiculous when Thieves Auction goes off. Stormtower Leviathan, Island Walk. I just love Stormtower Leviathan. It's pretty sweet. Scrambleverse. Scrambleverse is nice. Not as cool as Thieves Auction, but still pretty cool. Because Thieves Auction does all non-token permanents. Scrambleverse does all non-lands. And it kind of does it for you. It just automatically picks on Midco. But Thieves Auction, you get to pick. Insurrection. Untap all creatures and gain control of them until end of turn. They gain haste till end of turn. So Insurrection can win you the game if you play it at a certain time. Warp World. Each player shuffles all permanents they control in their library, then reveals that many cards to the top of the library. Each player puts all artifacts, creatures, and lands revealed this way on the battlefield, then does the same for all enchantment cards. So enchantment cards are put on the battlefield last, and then puts all cards revealed this way that weren't in the battlefield. So if you have like enchant creature, that you would put all of the enchantments on last. So that's pretty cool. Inkwell Leviathan, Island Walk, Trample Shroud. I possibility stormed into an Inkwell Leviathan, which is pretty nice. Blasphemous Act. This spell costs 1 less. Act deals 13 damage to each creature. Double Creativity is pretty nice. It's like you destroy cards, but then they go get those cards. They get other cards, like artifacts or creatures. So play it sparingly, depending on what you want to play it against. But yeah, so this is the Chaos deck, and there's going to be one game up. It's a little bit long. It's just under an hour, pretty much just under an hour. But it was a pretty good game. Pretty much all 3 opponents that I had, they stayed until they lost. So that's good. Didn't have any. Recently, a lot of times when you play multiplayer, people kind of just bow out of games really quickly when they're not going to win. These people stayed there, and that was pretty good. And there wasn't a lot of. There was some periods where there's not a lot of action going on, but for the most part, everyone did play their spells at a pretty decent pace. And yeah, it was pretty nice playing against those decks. And so tune in, check those out, and have a great week. And next week it's gonna be, not next week, but the next time after this is gonna be Archer Tribal, where I get to test out if my Archer Tribal deck's gonna work. And then we're gonna do some more Dominarius commanders with Slimefoot. So yeah, hope you guys have a great day. See you around. Goodbye.